Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and today we're reviewing Jordan Peele's Nope. Spoiler free, of course, as always, unless it says spoiler in the title, in which case we will spoil it. It will happen. Nope is Jordan Peele's latest movie, starring an insanely badass cast of Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brandon Perea, Stephen Yeun, and Michael Wilcott, who, do not forget, was in The Crow, Prince of Thieves, Three Musketeers, Alien Resurrection. It was really nice to see him back with his gravelly-ass trademark voice. I love that guy. Every time I see him, I'm like, that fucking guy rules. And of course, the legendary Keith David, who I just wish was in this movie a ton more. I wish Keith David was in more movies everywhere. That guy fucking rules too. So in the gist of keeping the spoiler free, in the gist of keeping this spoiler free, the plot is simply that some weird fuck shit happens to a group of people out on a ranch in the middle of California. Now, you've seen the trailer, so you know there's a UFO in it, so this could be maybe Jordan Peele's Alien movie, but with a film like this, I'm not going to say anything for sure. But that's kind of the gist of the movie. Let me start out this review by saying I love the fact that Jordan Peele exists. I love the fact that someone has the carte blanche to go out there and make original movies with huge fucking budget, and it's on the big screen. And I look forward to all of his movies because he does the one thing I love most about the directors I love most, is that they always take a big swing. When you sit down in the theater for one of these people's movies, you know that you're either going to see a life-changing movie or you're going to see something fall on its face and be enraging. But that's exciting. And it's the same way I feel about M. Night Shyamalan. But here's the problem. If M. Night Shyamalan made this movie, it would be a 26% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. That's just facts. In my mind, that's absolutely true. I know it in my bones, Sheriff, that everybody would be dragging this movie for all its tiny little inadequacies and for the plot and the story holes and the third act. All things that I have little problems with as well. But I still like this film overall. But I'm able to say there's a lot of problems here, and it ultimately ends up disappointing for me. So what I'm saying, if I'm saying anything, is that we all love Jordan Peele, and I think that that's awesome, and I think he's great for horror. But let's try to remember the kind of grace we give this film when the next M. Night film comes out, or the next director comes out and takes a big swing at something and maybe whiffs here and there a little bit. That's all I'm trying to say to the world. But I call him like I see him, and the number one thing I can say about Nope, getting into the review now, is that it feels like an M. Night movie. This feels, it feels like Signs. It has that mood, it has that aura to it. To me, it's not nearly as good as Signs, and we'll get into that, but that's one of my favorite movies of all time. But it has that strangeness to it, and I feel like Peele did that on purpose, which I think is pretty cool. I could be wrong about that, but it just has that, when people speak, everyone's a little bit different, everything's a little bit off. It just has that mood to it, and it's not just because it possibly has to do with aliens, although that's an added influx, but it just has that weird M. Night movie aura to it, which I can really appreciate. I think it's a nod. It's not copying, it's a nod to M. Night's work a little bit. The cinematography, the direction, the camera movement is all just top notch. I mean, cinephiles are going to have a great big fat husband's bulge the entire time they're watching this movie. It is gorgeous to look at. From the UFO flying through the nighttime skies to the daytime to the wide open spaces of this ranch, just the way everything's shot, the slow deliberate movements of the camera, all the way on the other side of that to where you've got this crazy action chase scene going on, and it's just, it feels, you see all these people comparing it to Jaws and shit like that. Movie wise, no, but just tentpole wise, like, you know, you're watching like the first time you saw Independence Day in a movie theater and you were like, wow, this feels like, I'm not going to say spectacle, because if I see one more person say fucking spectacle, I'm going to shit my own pants, and it's not going to do anybody harm but me and whoever's around me within smelling area, all the way down to a few intimate scenes. The slow camera shots, the speaking moments in the movie, just, dude, it's so crisp and it's so beautifully filmed. I absolutely just, it's a fucking joy to look at from top to bottom. Now, when it comes to the UFO and stuff like that, there are moments where it looks kind of wonky and it's too CGI'd, and you gotta go, shit, you know, but that's almost anything nowadays with the CGI. But honestly, the way they use this wide open ranch and the skies and stuff is probably the best character in the movie. Secondly, the casting is just fucking phenomenal. I don't know what's so goddamn cool about Daniel Kaluuya, but cast that guy in everything. Like, he just has this I don't give a fuckness to him that would work so great for so many badass roles. I can't wait to see what he does with the rest of his career. I love every time he's on screen, it's a joy to watch, in my opinion. And his character just feels unique. It feels different. It feels like he's just his own dude. Keke Palmer, a little over the top for me, but that's kind of what the character called for, I guess. Brandon Perea, plays this Best Buy guy. You see him in the commercials a little bit too. He plays this kind of Best Buy worker who comes there to set up all the cameras and stuff on the ranch, and he's just kind of a weirdo who ends up hanging around, and he ends up being the comedic relief of the film. But I thought he was a breakout actor in this. I can't wait to see what he does next as well. Horror-wise, Nope has its moments, man. It's got 3 or 4 fucking bangers of moments in it. There was one shot going back to the UFO stuff that I think was definitely a nod to one of the most frightening moments in Fire in the Sky. Very short-lived, but it's truly, truly frightening, this little moment is, despite it may or not being what you think. There's another moment on a more intimate level that happens on this like game show set. You know in Wes Craven's Last House on the Left where they do the rape scene off camera and it's more haunting that way because you can hear it? There's some of that going on here. He does an amazing job with that. It is just truly frightening what you're hearing happening, and again, just feels very M. Night to me, like at his best in this moment. It's pretty damn freaky and well done. On the other hand of that, there's one horror scene that's this grand spectacle scene. Fuck, I did it again, shit. But there's another scene that's a huge special effects scene that it feels like Close Encounters meets The Shining. It's on such a grand level, and it's so hard. Like, even I'm watching on this huge one of those you have to pay extra for your tickets for screens to watch it on, not IMAX, but the IMAX for poor people or whatever. And I'm watching on that huge screen, and there's even moments in this where you're looking at the screen trying to see shit. It's not that it looks bad, but you can't really grasp what's going on at certain moments because it's in the sky or it's wherever, and it's just such a wild moment. And that's exciting as a viewer sitting in the audience going, oh fuck, this is something I've never seen before. Where is it? Shit. That's really fun in those moments. But the best thing I could say is it's Twister meets The Shining meets Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Not as movies overall. I think Twister and The Shining are definitely better movies than this. I would actually watch this over Close Encounters because I just don't love that movie very much. So yeah, there's like 3 or 4 horror moments that fucking rule in this movie. And it comes back around to what ends up being so disappointing about Nope, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But for horror fans, those are moments you have to see, and they're just a fucking taste of what this movie could have been. And then finally, the third act for me is where all of that got washed away. You're talking about something that we've been watching the entire movie, and stylistically, visually, they change things up, and it just sucks the air out of the movie. I mean, you're talking about something that is classically scary to look at, that they're doing a good job about, and then all of a sudden, it changes its whole aesthetic appearance to you, and it looked bad, and it looked too CGI'd, and it was like going from something extremely frightening to look at to going to, here's a kaleidoscope. But the aesthetic changes at the end of the movie really killed the horror for me. And then it also got confusing, and it got like the rules got weird, and it just kind of became very, very messy in the third act and just sucked the wind right out of the film. And the horror acts mentioned before are where Peele was at his greatest. And I feel I think you can feel the pressure on him. This being his third movie and his first 2 being beloved by so many. I think in this movie and Nope, you can really feel the pressure that's on Jordan Peele. Had he just stuck to the ideas he had in these great moments, he had a great horror film, like a classic horror film at his fingertips. But I think, and while I do love it when directors shoot for the sky, I think that horror film he had was shooting for the sky. It was that good. It was that well shot. I think he felt so much pressure to make this a bigger ordeal than it was, to make it too unique, that I think in the end he ended up hurting what could have been a classic fucking awesome horror film. And instead what you got is really this messy blockbuster movie with some comedic elements to it and some cool characters and a few awesome horror moments. It's one of those movies I'll go back and watch just for those moments because they were so good, but as a whole I will always walk away disappointed to think about what could have been. So Nope is a 7 out of 10 for me. It's still a good movie. Can't wait to see what Jordan Peele does next. I may do a spoiler review. Let me know if you guys want a spoiler review for this in the comments down below. I don't know. We'll see how well this one does. A lot of times for some reason when we do reviews, they just don't, everybody's like, I just want the fucking Halloween news, dick. Give it to me and also show me your wiener. That's the kind of Facebook messages I usually get. And also, let me ask you guys this in the comments down below. M. Night Shyamalan or Jordan Peele? A little early in Jordan Peele's career to decide that, but it's an interesting conversation to me. For me, it's M. Night right now, but I'd love to see what you guys think about that. Comment below, let us know. We love your fucking faces, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend.
What are you gonna do on October 31st?
What are you gonna do on October 31st?
Here comes that white-faced fucker, an asshole like no other. He's a big old piece of shit. Wants to stab your sister's tits cause he's a white-faced fucker. Loomis can't recover. Dr. Challenge drunk again, sleeping with your sister's friends.
Do you want to know about the darkness?
I said, God damn. God damn you, faggot. I said, God damn.
A lot of people don't know the darkness that goes inside their hearts.
I said, God